All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chitas today on the 13th of Av, August 7th, Thursday. Let's get right into it. Esadvar Ma'ela, these words, Diber Hashem, Hashem spoke, Al Kol Kahalchem, to the entire Jewish people, Bahar, on the mountain, Mitoicha Eish, Ha'anan V'Ha'arafel, Kol Godol, from within the fire. Welcome a few others that just joined. From within the fire and the cloud and the thick cloud with a great kol gadol, v'loy asa yasaf, not pausing to breathe. Vayichtevim al shnei luchas avanim vayitnem eloi, and it was inscribed on 2 tablets, and they were given to me. Vayihi keshamachem esakol. When you heard the voice from amidst the darkness, as the mountain was burning with fire, Eli, you came close to me. All the heads of your tribes and your elders, and you said, Hey, Meher Anu Hashem Elokeinu, es kvoidei ves godloi ves koiloi. Hashem has shown us His greatness, His kavod, and His voice. Shamanu, we hear, mitoich ha'ish, from within the fire. Hayem hazeh today. Hayem hazeh ra'inu ki yedaber aleikim es ha'adam v'chai. We have seen today that Hashem speaks with human beings and they can live. V'ata, now, lama nomus. Why should we die? For this great fire is going to consume us. If we continue to hear Hashem's voice, Hashem our God, we're gonna pass away. For who is there of all flesh who has heard of Hashem's voice and lives? Who can remain alive after hearing this? Krav ata, you go closer. Ushama, and listen and hear. Everything that Hashem says. And you're going to tell it over to us. Everything that Hashem tells you. We will listen. And we will do it. Vayishma Hashem es kol divrechem v'dabrachem elai. Hashem heard all that you said when you said it to me. Vayemer Hashem elai, and Hashem said to me, Shemaiti es kol divrei ha'am hazeh. I've heard everything that this nation is saying. The Jewish people are saying. Asher divrei lecha, that they told you. Etivu kol asher diberu. It's good what they have said. Mi yiting v'haya levavam zeh lahem liyiraisi v'lishmeres kol mitzvah kol hayamim. If only their hearts would be like this, to fear me and to do all the mitzvahs all of their days. L'man yitav lahem u'livneihem la'olam, so that it will be good for them and their children forever. Leich emar lahem shuvu lachem la'alechem. Tell them to go back to their tents. Va'ata poi amoid imodi. You should stay here and stand with me. Va'adabra elecha, and I will tell you, es kol ha'mitzvahs va'chukim va'mishpatim, all the mitzvahs, the chukim and the mishpatim, the statutes and the rules and the ordinances, asher telamdu, that you should teach. But also ba'aretz, and do in the land asher anechi neitzin lahem, the rishta that I'm giving to you to inherit. Ushmartem la'ases kasher tziva Hashem alekechem, and you should safeguard and do everything that Hashem, your God, is commanding you, or Eschem commanding you, Loisasuru Yomin Usmal, do not deviate to the right or to the left. Stay focused and make sure to do all of the mitzvahs. In the entire way that Hashem commands us, that's how you should go. So that you may live. And it will be good for you. And you will have long life on this earth. Asher tirashon, or on this land. Asher tirashon, that you will inherit. These are the commandments that Hashem said to teach you. To do in the land that you are going to inherit. In order that you fear Hashem your God. Lishmar is called chukim u'mitzvaysav sharnechim mitzavcha atem uvincha uvendincha kol yimechayecha laman yarachon yemecha. That you may fear God enough that you're going to do His mitzvahs that I'm going to command you to you and your children and your grandchildren all the days of your life, so that you may have a prolonged life. Ushma'ta Yisrael, listen, O Israel. V'shamarta la'asais, and safeguard and do. Asher yitav l'cha, so it will be good for you. Asher tirbun ma'oid, and it will be, even more. Asher dibra Hashem alekecha v'yisecha lach eretz zavas chalav udvash, that Hashem had spoken to you and to your forefathers, a land flowing with milk and honey. All right, let's go to the Tanya. Tanya, today we're starting a new letter, number 5. I believe it's also about tzedakah, and written in the early 1800s by the Alter Rebbe, to his Chassidim, to his followers. Again, like the last letter, which emphasized the power of tzedakah, I believe this one also is in reference to tzedakah. Let's jump into it. It is letter number 5. Vayas David Shem, and David made a name. I think in the simple meaning, let's actually look at it, but it means that he was a hero. He made a name for himself. The simple meaning of the verse is either, as Rashi explains, that David gave the Jewish people a good name by burying the dead of their enemies, or as other commentators explain, that David made a name for himself through his heroism. He had a reputation. But what is the Zohar? Uperish v'Zohar HaKadosh mishum shenemar ayi David oise mishpat utzedakah l'chol amay. The Zohar says, regarding the above phrase in the pasuk, so it says, David did justice and tzedakah with all his people. The name that he thereby made is thus the divine name. In other words, in the words of the Zohar, Bachar Rab Shimon va'amar man avid shma kadisha b'chol yoma man deyav tzedakah l'misikne. Rab Shimon whipped and said, who makes the holy name every day? He who gives charity unto the poor. 2 questions, however, present themselves. Let's look at the note. A, how can we possibly say that the holy name is made? It's already like you could make the holy name. The holy name is there. The holy name is greater than us. So what does it mean? So we're actually, by Yas David Shem, seems like possibly David made the name, the name of Hashem. B, let's go to B back in that note. How is the name made through the giving of charity? You say that who makes the holy name every day? One who gives charity. How does that work? We got to understand first, pasuk ki biyah, or bika, because it's God's name. Hashem Tzurai Lamen. For by the divine name, Yud and Hey, God is the strength of the worlds. We've already talked about the Yud and the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey in God's name. I think we're going to dive into it in a different angle or even more. So, Behei Nivra Olam Hazeh, B'Yud Nivra Olam Haba. In the Hey of the Yud Hey, the world was created, this world, and with the Yud, the world to come. So in what respect is this world connected with the Hey and the world to come with the Yud? The Alter Rebbe answers this question by first explaining the concept of the world to come and Gan Eden and Gan Eden and the Garden of Eden. Perish. Sha'atainug shemis angim nishmos hatzadikim. The pleasure that the souls of the tzaddikim have, that they are enjoying from the ziv hashchina, from the what's coming out of the shchina. Hameir began Eden Elyon V'Tachton, which is radiant in the higher Gan Eden and in the lower Gan Eden. Who shemis angim ba'asagasei v'haskalasam shemaskilim v'yodim v'masigim. This pleasure is the understanding and the comprehension and the conception that they conceive and know and understand. A degree of light that they get from Ein Sof, from God. That they receive through a giloy, through a revelation into their souls, and a level of understanding. It looks like today we're going to be doing some more of the notes. We're getting into some of the mystical concepts, and we have to look a little bit into those. Spiritual life force finds its way down into this world in so concealed a manner that all we know of it is the mere fact of its existence. Yediyas hametzias. All we know is that it exists. In Gan Eden, by contrast, the spiritual life force issues forth in such a manner that its very essence is apprehended. Hasagas hamahus. You feel it in, like, it's not that you know it exists, you can feel it. In a normal, the same way today, you can feel physicality. Ulahavin, ulahasik, eza saga, kol echad lefi madregasei lefi maisei. So that each and every one can understand and attain some perception according to his level and his deeds. Nikra olam haba b'shem bina b'Zohar HaKadosh. That's why olam haba is called bina, because bina is understanding, comprehension. So, and we're saying that in olam haba, that's where you really you go to a level of comprehension of the Shekhinah as opposed to just knowing of its existence. How do you get to this bina? It comes from chachma, shumakar hahaskala hahasaga hanikra b'shem bina, which is the source of the comprehension and everything, which is what we call bina, which we already know that chachma flows into bina. This is the kadmos haseichel, like the first seichel, koidim shaba l'chlal gilui hasaga v'havana, before it goes down into hasaga and havana, understanding and comprehension. Rak adayin ubchinas helen v'hester, but in the stage of chachma, it's in a hidden way. It has the chachma, but it's in a hidden way. It hasn't yet manifested itself into understanding and comprehension. Rak shema'at mezeir sham, zeir sham sheifeya v'nimshach misham l'bchinas bina. A tiny amount of that original chachma is what goes down and becomes bina. Lahavin or lahasig, seichel hanelam, making it possible for a soul to understand and comprehend something which is hidden. L'chein nikra b'shem nikuda behechala b'Zohar HaKadosh. That's why it's called nikuda, a dot, behechala, in the Heichal, in the palace. Let's look at the note of this one. Chachma is the dot or point of intellect that illuminates the palace of Bina. Nevertheless, even when already housed in Bina, it still remains a seminal point of intellect that transcends the details that constitute the comprehension of Bina. Okay, I'm not 100% sure about that note. Vizo hi tmunas yud shoshem havaya baruch hu. This is the shape of the yud of yud ke vav ke. It's like a line, or the yud. I thought it was talking about the vav for a second. The yud, yeah, the yud is a pintala. The yud is a point. The letter yud is shaped like a point, alluding to the sphere of chachma, which is a mere point. V'nikra Eden asher olav namar ayin loy ra'asa. Chachma is also referred to as Eden, of which it is said, no eye has beheld it. It is the kind of illumination that transcends and defines comprehension. V'nikra Abba Yasad Virata. It's referred to as a father who founded the daughter. Perush Gehine is avos oisies hadibur hayotis me'ahem moitzois hapeh einem davar muskal. This means the formation of the letters of speech, which proceed from the 5 organs of articulation, right? There's 5 types of speaking, is not an intellectual process. V'loi mutba b'teva moitzois halalu lahaitzi mifta. It is not an inherent in the nature of these organs that they must pronounce the letters. Ayidei hevel v'akol hamakabehem, by way of the hevel, the breath and sound that come out of them, al pi derech hateva v'lo al pi derech haseichel, by either natural way or by an intellectual way. Kamoy hasifsayim, like the lips, al derech mashal she'oisies beis vav mem pei hayotz mehem. Since the lips are the most visible of the organs of speech, the Alter Rebbe chooses for his example the letters which they form. One can readily see that pronouncing these letters is impelled neither by nature of the lips themselves, nor by the faculty of intellect. Let's continue inside to further expound on that. Eina teva v'lo yaseichol noisen liyitzias mifta arba chiluki shine b'toy oisias elu. Neither nature nor the intellect compels the utterance of the 4 varying types of pronunciation of these letters, al pishine knuyem hasfasayim, in accordance with variations in movement of the lips. Shemis neyanes behevel echad v'kol echad hapegea behem b'shava, which are moved by the same breath and the same sound that strikes them equally. Let's look at the note. Since the letter Beis and the letter Vav, for example, are both formed by the same breath and the same sound, Beis and Vav, you can even look at the zoom and you'll see the mouth moves exactly the same, Beis and Vav. Actually, I'm not sure. Distinction between them must be made by the movement of the lips. When the letter Beis is pronounced, the lips are pursed in one way. When the letter Vav is pronounced, they are pursed differently. This being so, one would expect that it would take a conscious mental effort to move the lips in one specific manner to pronounce the letter Beis and in another specific manner to pronounce the letter Vav. But as we know, obviously, you don't need to make a conscious effort to do that. Alternatively, if it were dependent on nature, the speaker would naturally want to move his lips in the different ways necessary for the formation of one letter or the other. Okay, but obviously we see this is not the case. We speak and we speak, and both our seichel and our physicality don't need to necessarily have a conscious thing to do that. The adrab, I'm not sure yet how this has to do with the chachma and bina that we were talking about, and olam haza and olam haba. Let's continue and see where the Alter Rebbe is going with this. The adrab, the change in movements in your lips depends on the difference in the pronunciation of the letters of the soul. which wishes to utter by means of the lips. Leimer ois beis, oi vav, oi mem, oi pei. To say the letter vav, beis, vav, mem, or pei. V'loi lehepech, it's not the other way around. That is the will and intention of the soul to make a change in the motions of the lips. As they are moving now in the utterance of these four letters. As is clearly evident. It's not the soul. The soul does not at all intend or know how to intend the change in the motions of the lips. Since the soul neither intends nor even knows how to direct the lips to move in the manner required to form particular letters, it is obviously the mere desire to utter these certain letters that results in the automatic movement of the lips in the appropriate manner. There isn't your soul wants to say this and therefore you say this. It automatically is able to do it. And it is even more evident with the pronunciation of the vowels. That if the soul wishes to utter the kamatz vowel, the lips spontaneously become compressed, because kamatz needs the compression of the lips. Ubepatach niftachim hasvasayim, and with patach the lips open up, and that just hit me just now. Patach comes from the word of niftachim, opening. Patach, the ah sound opens your mouth. I will from now on be teaching it differently, because patach, your mouth must open, and that's what the word means. I'd never actually noticed that till just this moment. V'loi shiratzan hanefesh likmoitz, and not at all because of the will of the soul. V'loi liftayach klal klal, the soul wants to close or open, close for kamatz and open for patach. There's no need to go further in a matter as simple and understood to everybody. The Alter Rebbe really had high hopes for us. Namely, that the pronunciation of these letters and these nekudes, these vowels, lamaila mahaseichel hamusag umuvan, is transcending comprehension and apprehension. I think we can all agree you don't have to think very hard. It must come from something higher than that, because if it came from something that you must constantly put effort into thinking, I'm not talking about what you're saying. I'm talking about the very aspect of speaking is not something that we have to put seichel into. Seichel into what you're saying, not into the skill of saying. Ella miseichel hanelem v'kadmos haseichel shebenefesh hamedaberes. It comes from the hidden intellect that's in the kadmos haseichel, in the original seichel, or the deeper seichel that is in the soul of the person that's speaking. That is why an infant is not able to speak, even if it understands everything, because that has not been developed yet inside the infant. We thus see that the letters of speech derive from Chachma. This then is the meaning of the father who founded the daughter. Chachma is the father or source of the letters of speech, which are called or source of the letters of speech, which are called the daughter of the Sphira of Malchus. I'm assuming tomorrow. I don't know tomorrow's Tanya right now, but I'm assuming that we're going to, connect this exactly to tzedakah and what it means to create a name that we said David HaMelech created a name, how this all ties in.